Hello everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This video I will be explain or analysis the poem. The title poem is Love Philosophy by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Love's Philosophy by Percy Shelley. The fountains mingle with the river, and the rivers with the ocean. The wines of heaven mix forever with a sweet emotion. Nothing in the world is single, all things by a law divine. In one spirit meet and mingle. Why not I'm within? See the mountains kiss high heaven, and the waves clasp one another. No sister flower will be forgiven if it disdain its brother. And the sunlight claps the earth, and the moonbeams kiss the sea. What is all this with worth, if thou kiss not me? Alright, for the background, Love Philosophy is a poem by the British romantic poet Percy Bysshe Shelley, first published in 1819. The poem is a kind of seductive argument offering proof of a divine law, that the world is full of interconnectedness, and that therefore the speaker and the person whom the speaker is addressing should become connected to. This is dominated by its central concept that love is a kind of union replicated in natural and spiritual realms. The poem has more in common with works by 7th century metaphysical poets such as John Donne and Andrew Marvell than with works by the romantic poets of Shelley's day. Summary: Love Philosophy by Percy Bysshe Shelley contains a speaker's plea to his lover that she allow him to love her physically. In the first lines of this poem, the speaker describes the movement of water from fountains into rivers and then the rivers into oceans. He also speaks about the wines in heaven and how they move and mix like the water, but with even more beautiful emotional poignancy. Shelley emphasized the importance of understanding interconnectivity and the fact that the world is connected bit by bit through spirit. He used this as an argument to address you, the person he loves. He believes that since they are already connected, that they should come together as lovers. The poem concludes with the speaker describing the mountains, heaven, and the embrace of the waves. He thinks it would be a shame if she didn't accept his physical love. Without her, all the beautiful connections in the world seem worthless. In Love Philosophy, the summary is: water from fountains run into rivers, which in turn join together in the oceans. Like whis, the wines of heaven are always and forever mixing with each other and with deep and beautiful feelings. Nothing in the world is a single entity. It's like everything is connected according to a divine law which dictates that all things connect through their spirit. And if that is the case, why shouldn't I mingle and connect with you? Look at the way of mountains, kiss the heavens, and how the waves embrace one another. A female flower that ignored the love of its male equivalent would never be forgiven. Sunlight embraces the earth, and the moonlight kisses the sea. But what does it all mean? What is all the connection worth if you will not kiss me? Literary device. Shelley make us of several literary devices in love philosophy. These include but are not limited to examples of a conceit, alliteration, and enjambment. The first, a conceit, was popularized by the poet John Donne in works like The Flea. It describes an original and striking metaphor that in this case, as if the flea is seeking to convince the listener of something. Shelley compares sex to the way that all natural elements interact with one another in an attempt to seduce the listener of the poem. Alliteration is a common formal element that can be seen in most poetic writing. For the example, meet and mingle in the stanza 1 as well as high heaven in stanza 2. And then enjambment is another structural device that can be seen in the transition between lines. For example, between lines 1 and 2 of the first stanza as well as lines 3 and 4 of the second stanza. Themes of philosophy, love philosophy. Shelley makes the themes of love philosophy quite clear. They include love, sex, and interconnectivity of nature. The latter is used as an excuse for the speaker to play with listener for the first two. He is seeking out love, and the sex he believes should come with it and sees evidence for the rightness of his desire in the world around him. Shelley used the movement of the wind, the waves, and all other living things to try to convince the listener that they should have sex with him. Structure and form. Is anyone know the structure or the form in love philosophy? Yes, correct. Uh, Love Philosophy by Percy Bysshe Shelley is have a stanza. Do you know how many the stanza? Yes, two stanza poem that follows a simple rhyme scheme of AB AB CD CD. This pattern remains consistent, made up only perfect or full rhymes the of the full rhymes. The matter is slightly more complicated. Most of the lines are written in trochaic tetrameter, but it does not maintain its structure throughout the entire poem. For the example, the opening line of the poem has an extra unstressed syllable at the beginning. This can be constructed again the following line, which is in perfect trochaic tetrameter. Is anyone know the meaning of trochaic or trochee? Trochee. Okay, I will be explain about trochaic or trochee. The trochees are the exact opposite of an iambic. Iambic, meaning that the first syllable is stressed and the second is unstressed syllable. Yes. How does language influence meaning in love philosophy? Being a romantic, Shelley used simple yet engaging language to reinforce meaning. For example, note the words closely associated with physicality and intimacy. It was like mingle, mix, sweet, kiss, and claps. Some of those words are repeated throughout the poem, which further underlines the importance of togetherness and physical being. And there are also cosmic and religious aspects to consider. For example, the wines of heaven mix forever suggest timelessness. And then all things by a law divine implies that everything obeys divine rule. See the mountain kiss high heaven also relates to the religious side of human nature. The context of literary Percy Bysshe Shelley was one of the foremost members of British Romantic poets of the 18th century, a loose group that often includes Lord Byron, John Keats, William Wordsworth, and William Blake. He was also married to Mary Shelley, who wrote Frankenstein. This poem does show some of the common characteristics of Romantic poetry. In particular, it showcases a love for and admiration of nature. The Romantic poets who wrote as the world was being transformed by the Industrial Revolution tended to believe that nature was more important to the human spirit than the built-up urban or industrial space of the world. Interestingly, tough love philosophy probably has more in common with the work of the 7th century English metaphysical poets such as John Donne and Andrew Marvell than with the other Romantic poetry. silly or otherwise. John Donne, in particular, was a master of seduction poem, constructing fanciful but confining arguments about why the proposed lover should be with the speaker. Excellent examples include The Flea and the Good Morrow. Shelley's poem follows a similar approach, establishing a central concept that all the world is interconnected, and turning this into an irrefutable argument in favor of physical passion. Analysis of love philosophy stanza by stanza. Okay, for the stanza 1, the fountains mingle with the river, and the rivers with the ocean. The wines of heaven mix forever with a sweet emotion. Nothing in the world is single. All things by a law divine is one, in one spirit meet and mingle. What? Why not? Why not I within? There I see from the stanza 1, the speaker begins his explanations of the philosophy of love by describing different parts of nature. He talks about the fountains and the way they mingle with the river. He then mentions the rivers and how they meet with the ocean. These all symbolize people and imply that people are meant to mingle with one another. The speaker then says that the wines of heaven mix forever with a sweet emotions. With this description, the speaker suggests that the physical and the emotional are connected in some way. He calls it a divine law that all things will be in one spirit and they eventually will meet and mingle. This symbolizes humanity and the speaker's belief that human beings were meant to mingle with one another both physically and emotionally. The use of phrase in one spirit implies the idea that human beings are meant to connect with one another spiritually as well. With the last line of his stanza of love philosophy, the speaker asks his hearer, "Why not I within?" This question relevance that the speaker's desire of love is not yet satisfied. The question implies his belief that it would only be natural for he and his lover to unite body, soul, and mind. He believes that it will be every bit as natural as the river mingling with the sea, for he and the one he loves to be one. And then the tone of the question, however, implies that this love is either an unrequited or he is far away from the one he loves, or he is posing the question to his would-be lover for the very first time. This is stanza 2. Seem the mountains kiss high heaven, and the waves clasp one another. No sister flower will be forgiven if it disdain its brother. And the sunlight clasps the earth, and the moonbeams kiss the sea. What is all this sweet worth if thou kiss not me? The speaker begins again to describe the ways in which different parts of the nature interact and depend upon one another. He says that the mountain kiss high heaven and that the waves clasp one another. It is clear that he longs to have a physical relationship with the person he loves. His descriptions of the physical interactions between parts of nature imply his belief that physical interaction between two people is natural. He communicates to his lover that it feels unnatural to be kept away from her. The speaker then uses flowers to further describe his feelings about his unsatisfied feelings. He describes a sister flower and claims that it will not be forgiven if it were to deny its brother. This description causes the readers to lean toward the idea of this poem is about unrequited love. The word disdain seems to imply that the one to whom he speaks remains separate from him by her own choice. To the speaker, this seems unnatural because he longs for her love so strongly. He continues to describe this physical relationship between parts of nature when he claims that the sunlight clasps the earth. This imagery allows the reader to understand the depth of the speaker's feelings. He feels as tough to clasp the one he loves in these arms would be as natural as it for the rays of the sun to grasp the other. He describes the way the moonbeams kiss the sea, further expressing his physical desire for the one to whom he speaks. To continuous personification, to continuous personification of nature, and the words used to describe the relationships therein give insight into the intensity of the speaker's feelings. Words such as mingle, clasp, and kiss all reveal the physical nature of the speaker's desire. However, praise such as sweet emotion and in one's spirit imply that his desires are deeper than the physical. He longs to be united with the one he loves spiritually and emotionally as well as physically. The speaker ends love philosophy with a question similar to the one he asks at the end of the first stanza. He asks, what is all this sweet worth if thou kiss not me? This is a heavy question. He reveals his feelings that nothing he has observed in life or nature holds any value to him if he is not to be united with the person he loves. This final line intensifies the tone of the rest of the poem because it implies not only the speaker's intense desire for the one he loves but also his lack of interest in living life apart from her. This allows the reader to understand the depths of his love. Alright, that's my analysis. It's time to question and answer. It's between you and me, right? Okay, I want to ask you something about, do you remember how when Percy Bysshe Shelley published this poem? Yes, 18 and 19. And then how many stanza at the poets, these poets, this poetry, I mean. Yes, the 2 stanza. And then we get in the structure and form, right? How many, I mean, but how the rhyme scheme of Love Philosophy. Yes, this is a simple rhyme scheme. It was ABAB and CD. And then what about the lines? Is it iambic or trochaic or what? Yes, this is a trochaic or trochees, yeah, trochaic tetrameter actually. Do you remember what I say about the trochee? Yes, trochee, the meaning that the first syllable is stressed and the second syllable is unstressed. Yeah, that's all from me, and I have some tips for you to how can you read this Love Philosophy. You can read slowly because this is poets that we have to relax, we have to feeling deep in how to, like, we want to make the feeling so deeper. Like the first stanza, the first lines is, the fountains mingle with the river and the rivers with the ocean. The wines of heaven mix forever with a sweet emotion. In the emotion we can to press the words like emotion. And then next is, nothing in the world is single. All things by a law divine in one spirit meet and mingle. Yeah, that's there are no we can read full and fast, yeah. And then the last is, why not I within. We can to asking, yeah, ask like, why not I within. Yeah, that's all from me, and thank you. Alright, that's all from my analysis and teaching poem. Thank you so much for you that watching this video and want to learning about the meaning of Love Philosophy and the structure and the form, the background, and then and literary, and then summary, the themes, yeah, some of kind that. Thank you so much for watching this video.